Hey, beautiful friend. Welcome to Fearless and Worthy Woman, Walking Boldly in Your Calling. I'm your host, Alexandria Daugherty, and this is where faith meets real life. Around here, we believe in who God says we are, obey His calling, lead with confidence, and do the work faithfully. Because you were never meant to play small with the gifts He's given you. So, grab your coffee, open your heart, and let's get bold in what God's calling you to do.
So, we have spent this week talking about belief, why it is so hard to truly feel enough, and how those old stories keep us repeating patterns that no longer serve us. But at some point, the work of belief becomes something that we have to embody. There comes this time when it's really not enough to just repeat truth back to yourself. You want to live like it's real, to really see yourself the way that God already sees you, which is such a beautiful thing. You can tell yourself you're loved by God, but until you start showing up as someone who's loved, that's not going to stick. And that doesn't happen because you tried harder. It doesn't happen because you have it all figured out. Rather, it's going to happen slowly. It's going to happen through those small ways you begin to act like what He says about you is in fact true. And I want to remind you, it is. That's going to look like when you walk into a room and stop apologizing for taking up space, or when you give yourself permission to rest without guilt. I know I've said it before, that's a huge one for me. Maybe it looks like you stop giving so much energy to proving yourself to others. And I feel like that's a big one for a lot of us. But that's the quiet shift that happens when you start living like what God says about you is actually true. Ephesians 4:23 through 24 says, "Be made new in the attitude of your minds, and put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." That phrase, "put on the new self," doesn't that feel like this warm invitation? Like it reminds us that we don't have to wait to feel ready before we step into the woman God created. We simply take one step at a time and trust that He's going to meet us right there in the middle of all of it. So here's what is happening when belief really starts to take root, when you actually start to believe it. Your brain learns by repetition and by emotion. Every time that you act in agreement with truth, you are teaching your mind what safety actually feels like in that new identity. That's why even the smallest actions that you take really matter. And you've heard me talk about it a few times this week, but neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to form new pathways. When you speak truth over yourself and you take action that actually aligns with that truth, you are pairing belief with an actual experience. And the more often you do that, the stronger that pathway becomes. That is how your brain begins to see the truth as familiar and not just as this foreign thing. It's no longer just a verse that you highlight or maybe a phrase that you repeat. Rather, it becomes this framework that your mind recognizes as real and safe and like home. This is where faith and consistency come together as one. Faith is going to give you that truth to stand on, but consistency is going to show your mind it can actually trust that truth. Every time you choose it again, you are reminding yourself that God's word is safe to lean on. And then over time, your mind stops fighting it so much. It starts to rest in what your spirit and like your faith already knows is true. So, your faith step of the day. Today, I invite you to choose one truth that you have been trying to believe and find a small way to live it out. If that truth is, I am confident, and that's something that you're wanting to believe, your step might look like introducing yourself to someone new. Find that one small, scary thing that you can do and then just do it. All right, don't wait till it's perfect. Don't wait until you feel ready, because guess what? You're not going to. Just go out there and do it. Maybe your truth is, I am loved. So that step might look like slowing down long enough to receive a compliment from someone without deflecting it. And how often do we do that? Where we receive a compliment and we find some way to brush it off. So my challenge for you is to receive that compliment, say thank you, and truly embrace that compliment instead of deflecting it away. If your truth is, I am steady, maybe your step might be finishing the task you've been avoiding. All right, and just remember that these actions are not about proving anything. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being polished. It's not about having it all together. Rather, it's just starting to set that consistent discipline and giving your mind new evidence so that truth can sink in from your head deep into your spirit and your soul and your heart, deep into yourself. So I encourage you to write down what you did and how it felt. Maybe it was uncomfortable, and that's okay too. Sometimes we are rewiring our mind and our body to what is safe, and sometimes that safety feels a little bit uncomfortable to start with. That discomfort is your brain rewiring itself. It is proof that you are growing.
Ladies, I hope today's episode reminded you that you are chosen, capable, and equipped for everything God's placed in front of you. Keep showing up, keep trusting His timing, and keep walking boldly in your calling. If this spoke to your heart, share it with a friend who needs it, and make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss your faith step of the day. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are called, empowering you always.